They said the Viper was done. They whispered behind closed doors that Randy Orton's legendary career was over, that Father Time had finally caught up to the apex predator. WWE management practically pushed him out the door, treating him like yesterday's news while they shoved green rookies down our throats. But guess what happened when they counted out the most dangerous superstar in WWE history? Randy Orton just reminded everyone why he's the most ruthless predator to ever step foot in a WWE ring. What we witnessed wasn't just a return, it was a declaration of war. And if you think WWE management is happy about what went down, you're living in a fantasy world. This company has been trying to phase out their legends, but Randy Orton just proved why you never turn your back on a Viper. The wrestling world has been buzzing with retirement rumors for months. Dirt sheets were printing obituaries for Orton's career, claiming his body was breaking down, that he'd lost a step, that it was time to hang up the boots. Even WWE seemed to be distancing themselves from the third-generation superstar who helped carry this company through some of its most challenging years. But here's what those corporate suits and keyboard warriors didn't understand: you don't retire Randy Orton. Randy Orton retires you. When Bronson Reed and his crew thought they could run roughshod over Monday Night Raw, when they believed their size and brutality made them untouchable, they forgot one crucial detail. They forgot that somewhere in the shadows, the Viper was coiled and ready to strike. And when Randy Orton strikes, careers end and legends are born. The footage speaks for itself, and it's absolutely sickening how devastating Orton looked. This wasn't some nostalgic comeback tour or a feel-good moment for the older fans. This was pure, unadulterated violence delivered by a man who has nothing left to prove but everything left to destroy. Let's break down exactly what happened, because the mainstream wrestling media is going to try to sugarcoat this brutal beatdown. They don't want you to see just how vicious and calculated Randy Orton's assault really was. Bronson Reed, all 330 pounds of him, has been positioning himself as the next monster heel on Raw. The Australian powerhouse has been steamrolling through the roster, using his size and agility to demolish anyone foolish enough to step in his path. His alliance with other up-and-coming heels seemed unstoppable, a new generation ready to take over WWE by force. But they made one fatal mistake: they got comfortable. They started believing their own hype. They thought the locker room was theirs for the taking, that the veterans had rolled over and died. They couldn't have been more wrong. The attack came out of nowhere. Randy Orton emerged from the crowd like a ghost returning from the grave, and the look in his eyes was absolutely terrifying. This wasn't the conflicted anti-hero we've seen in recent years. This was the cold-blooded killer who terrorized WWE for over 2 decades. Reed never saw it coming. One moment he was gloating over his latest victim, the next moment he was eating an RKO that could have shattered concrete. But Orton wasn't finished, not even close. What followed was a systematic dismantling that would make his Evolution stablemates proud. The precision was surgical. Every move calculated for maximum damage. Orton methodically picked apart Reed's associates one by one, like a predator separating prey from the herd. The veteran instincts were on full display as he used the environment to his advantage, turning the ringside area into his personal torture chamber. But here's what really has WWE management sweating bullets: Randy Orton looked better than he has in years. All those whispers about him being washed up, all those concerns about his physical condition, they evaporated in real time as we watched the apex predator operate at peak efficiency. The crowd eruption was deafening. Fans who had been force-fed months of manufactured storylines suddenly witnessed something authentic in Raw. This is what happens when you have a genuine superstar who doesn't need scripts or writers to generate heat. Randy Orton is the storyline. And let's address the elephant in the room: WWE's youth movement. For months, we've watched as the company has prioritized inexperienced talent over proven veterans. They've pushed aside legends who built this industry while elevating performers who haven't earned their stripes. Randy Orton's decimation of Bronson Reed's crew was a direct response to that misguided philosophy. This wasn't just about settling scores with Reed and his allies. This was Randy Orton sending a message to every young star who thinks they can skip the line, every management executive who thinks legends are disposable, and every fan who believed the Viper's best days were behind him. The technical aspects of the beatdown were masterful. Orton's trademark strikes looked more devastating than ever, his timing was absolutely perfect, and his ring psychology was off the charts. He didn't just defeat his opponents, he destroyed them in a way that told a complete story without saying a single word. Reed, who has been booked as an unstoppable monster, was made to look like a helpless child against Orton's veteran savvy. The size advantage meant nothing when facing someone who has forgotten more about in-ring psychology than most wrestlers will ever learn. But what really made this special was the intensity. Randy Orton looked genuinely angry, not the manufactured sports entertainment anger we're used to seeing. This felt personal, like years of frustration and disrespect had finally boiled over into pure violence. The aftermath tells the real story. Bronson Reed and his crew were left scattered around ringside, looking like they'd been hit by a freight train. Medical personnel rushed to check on them while Randy Orton stood tall in the center of the ring, surveying the carnage he'd created with cold satisfaction. Social media exploded instantly. Wrestling fans who had been critical of recent storylines suddenly remembered why they fell in love with this business in the first place. This is what authentic passion looks like. This is what happens when a true legend decides to remind everyone why legends become legends. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. WWE has been struggling to create genuine excitement around their programming, relying heavily on celebrity appearances and manufactured controversy. Randy Orton's return cut through all that noise like a hot knife through butter, providing the kind of authentic drama that can't be scripted or manufactured. Industry insiders are already speculating about what this means for WWE's creative direction. Will they embrace the chaos Randy Orton has unleashed, or will they try to rein in the Viper and force him back into their predetermined narrative structure? Based on what we witnessed, good luck trying to control Randy Orton when he's operating in full Predator mode. The generational divide in wrestling has never been more apparent. On one side, you have manufactured characters with limited real-world experience. On the other, you have battle-tested veterans like Randy Orton who understand that authentic emotion trumps scripted drama every single time. What makes this even more significant is the current state of WWE programming. Ratings have been inconsistent, fan engagement has been sporadic, and there's been a general sense that something essential was missing from the product. Randy Orton's explosive return reminded everyone what that missing element was: genuine intensity. The business implications are staggering. Randy Orton just proved that experience and veteran instincts are irreplaceable commodities in professional wrestling. No amount of athletic ability or social media followers can substitute for the kind of authentic heat that only comes from decades of perfecting your craft. Bronson Reed's camp has been notably quiet since the attack, which speaks volumes about the impact of what transpired. When you get dismantled that thoroughly by a veteran, there's really nothing left to say except lesson learned and back to the drawing board. The wrestling landscape has officially shifted. Randy Orton didn't just return, he reclaimed his territory and reminded everyone that the food chain in WWE still runs through him. This is what happens when you underestimate a legend who built his reputation on ending careers and crushing dreams. Moving forward, every superstar on the roster now has to deal with the reality that Randy Orton is back and clearly has unfinished business. The psychological advantage he's gained from this one segment could fuel storylines for months to come. This is why Randy Orton will go down as one of the greatest of all time. He doesn't just perform, he impacts. He doesn't just entertain, he creates moments that define eras and change the entire trajectory of professional wrestling. The Viper is back, and wrestling is better for it.